Salams and welcome. Thank you for joining me in the English reading of the Holy Quran, translation and commentary by Abdullah Yusuf Ali, published by the IPCI, the Islamic Propagation Center International, from Durban, South Africa. Wonderful place, Durban, in KZN, in the eastern coast of the African continent, southern tip, South Africa. And we are busy today with a magnificent surah, chapter known as Surah Nur, the light. Absolutely amazing chapter, right? Surah Nur, the light. Absolutely amazing. So join me in this. And we know there's a magnificent verse number 35, which tells us, gives us a clue that has baffled and amazed the scholars of Islam, that Allah is the light of the heavens and earth. But we'll come to that amazing, fascinating verse. So join me as we are now starting, alhamdulillah, with chapter number 24, known as Surah Nur or Surah Light. Roman numerals 1024, X is 10, 10 and 1, 4, right? 1024, Surah Nur, Surah Light. Let's start. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. The environmental and social influences which most frequently wreck our spiritual ideals have to do with sex and sexual promiscuity, like teenage pregnancy, HIV/AIDS, all of that involved with sex, adultery, because adultery and all of those sexual promiscuity, it affects society, right? It affects society, especially with its misuse, whether in the form of unregulated behavior or false charges or scandals or breach of the refined conventions of personal or domestic privacy. Our complete conquest of all pitfalls in such matters enables us to rise to the higher regions of light and of God-created nature, about which a mystical doctrine is suggested. This subject is continued in the next surah. Right, so why this is very important, you will see that in nature as well. You'll see some beautiful swans or some eagles that will pair and mate for life, right? Whereas some human beings, they don't care about mating for life or pairing up with one person for life. They will do it that, as many partners as possible. They don't care how many homes they break or what problems they cause in society. Some men are only interested in getting young girls pregnant and then they run away or disappear. There's teenage pregnancy with what the media is showing us, especially now with the porn industry. There's free availability of sex and dating online dating websites and so on. So this has now become a huge challenge in society, and especially for the Gen Z. So the elders in society need to explain that to the growing children, and the only way to get guidance is through the Quran and Sunnah. What is the morals, what is the ethics, what is the personal integrity with which we need to live our lives. And there is a line that this is right and this is wrong, right? There's a line between right and wrong, right? As the reprobation of false slanders about women is connected with an incident that happened to our mother Hazrat Aisha radiallahu anha in the 5th year of the Hijrah, that fixes the chronological place of this Medina surah, right? That means you do not slander anybody, never ever lay a false charge against a woman just because of your own suspicion, to say, this one is going with that one and that one is joining that one and this one is doing this. No. Have you seen anything? If there aren't 4 witnesses, then please keep your mouth quiet, right? So that is the rule, but we will come to that, right? Let's go to it. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Summary. Verses, there are in total 64 verses in this amazing, fabulous chapter. So let's get going. Verses 1 to 26. The summary is that sex offenses should be severely punished, but the strictest evidence, you cannot do it on flimsy hearsay, right? Because there are lots of gossip makers, there are a lot of troublemakers, there are a lot of people who just want to see other people come down. So without strict evidence, you cannot do nothing. And all of this has to do with what? The Islamic State. You cannot apply this in areas where there isn't the Islamic State, right? So, sex, that's my own personal opinion, but please contact the ulama with regard to the details about that, right? Astaghfirullah. So, sex offenses should be severely punished, but the strictest evidence should be required, and false slanderers are also worthy of punishment. This is very important. The false slanderers are also worthy of punishment. Remember, this was in Medina. So, Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam wanted to establish a beautiful new state in Medina, a new way of living. Right, so this, because Medina was now under the control of the Muslims, these laws were being implemented, and every member in society knew that they cannot just go to a young girl and have sex with her in the alley and then, okay, fine, he doesn't care whether he's the father or not, and he just leaves alone, as what happened in the days of Jahiliyyah. You can't have false slandering, as what used to happen in Mecca. I mean, they used to slander Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, not about sex slandering. Slandering means anything, whether it's about adultery or it is about theft of certain things, or to say this person is like this or that person is like that. So we cannot use slandering for anything. Okay, there's backbiting and slandering. Slandering means you're saying something about someone which is untrue, which is a total lie. That's a total lie, right? That's also worthy of punishment. So Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam wanted to establish in Medina, and everybody knew, as coming from the mimbar, that if you do this, you'll get punished. If you do this, you'll get punished. If you tell lies about someone, you'll get punished. So everyone sitting in the mosque, in Masjid al-Nabawi, knew exactly what is right and what is wrong. So when they used to go home, then when they used to see someone, a boy and girl, like kissing in the alley, and they're not married, or they're smooching and they're doing something, the community used to be the control factor. And they say, but Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam told us that's not right. What are you two people doing there, right? And then if someone would slander someone, a person will come to someone's house in the afternoon, have a cup of tea, and they will knock on someone's house in Medina. Hey, I heard this story, that one is jolling this one and that. And they will say, but are you the witness to that? Why are you tarnishing someone's name? Didn't you hear what Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam told us? You see, so immediately there would be a control factor, because they had knowledge. Right, without knowledge, we're living in a world of ignorance. So we need to educate ourselves, need to educate every member of society as to what is right and what is wrong. And that is where we become a self-controlling factor. Right. The second section is verses 27 to 34. The summary is: privacy should be respected, and the utmost decorum should be observed in dress and manners. Then in verses 35 to 57 we read the parable of the light. Absolutely amazing. The verse number 35, absolutely amazing. We'll come to that, alhamdulillah. The parable of light and darkness, order and obedience in nature, point to the spiritual duty of man. And then in the last part of this magnificent surah, 58 to 64, domestic manners. Manners is very, very important, right? One of the things Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam came was to show us akhlaq. This is very important. Please teach this to your children, your grandchildren, good manners. What is akhlaq? Akhlaq is not only good manners. Good manners is part of it. Part of that is respect, speaking politely, having adab for everything. Adab in your walking, adab in your talking, adab in how you eat your food, adab even in your thinking. But in addition to that, it also got to do with morals. Have you got a moral compass? Do you know the difference between right and wrong? Your morals, your ethics, your personal integrity. If you say something, will you do it? Are you honest? Are you a man of your word? Personal integrity. All of these things form part of your akhlaq. Not only adab and respect and integrity and morals and ethics in your personal life, in your dealings with others, but especially in your business dealings, in your partnerships, in your business partnerships, in your sales with your customers. What are you selling to your customers? Are you selling them rubbish? Are you lying to them? Are you true to yourself? You cannot lie to your customer if you're a person of the highest integrity, with the highest morals and ethics. You cannot cheat your customer. You cannot sell someone damaged goods and then pretend it is something nice. You cannot sell someone a used car and just clean it up nicely and say, yeah, no, it's fine, that guy is fine. 3 months later, that person is stuck on the highway and get robbed, right? Because then you will be held accountable for that if you are cheating people. So akhlaq is a very, very important component, but we will come to that. We will come to that, inshallah. So that is the last section, verses 58 to 64. Domestic manners and manners in public or collective life all contribute to the highest virtues, and it's not easy to do that. Why do you think it's the highest virtues? Because it's not easy. Do you think it's easy to bite your tongue when someone insults you? It's not easy. Do you think it's easy when someone insults you on social media, or someone insults you in public, or someone is talking behind your back? It's not easy. Your natural instinct is to react. That's your natural instinct. We say, no, this is injustice, because we are human beings. We've got justice in our blood. We don't like injustice, right? We are people of justice, and that is why there are human rights organizations. Human rights organizations are those organizations who speak for other people who don't have a voice. These are the voice of the voiceless people in society. So part of all of these domestic manners and to have the highest akhlaq and manners and morals and ethics, and the reason why you get such big rewards is because it is not easy to do, right? And our part of our spiritual duties leading up to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, God most merciful, right? Let's finish this, and then we'll start inshallah in the next episode with beginning the chapter itself. Right, the rhythmic commentary prose verses 1 to 26 include: chastity is a virtue for man and woman. That means no sex before marriage. This is what it means. Let's make it very clear to our children and Gen Z who are going up. As far as we are concerned, if you are a Muslim, if you are saying you are a Muslim, then please do not have sex before marriage. This is a rule, right? That means, and don't have sex outside of marriage, right? There's two ways. This is known as zina or fornication. That means let's take a simple example. Here's a man and here's a woman, right? There's a man, there's a woman, right? Man, in medical terms, we say that's a man. Woman, medical terms, that's a woman, right? Man and woman. Now, if they are not married, they cannot have sex. So no sex before marriage. Marriage is the license to have sex. In the same way, you cannot use a gun without a license. If you use a gun without a license, you can get into problems. You cannot drive a car without a license. If you want to drive a car, you need a license. If you want to have sex, you need a license. Your license for your sex is your marriage certificate. Your marriage certificate is giving you a license to have sex. Now you are married, now you can have sex. If you don't have a marriage certificate, you cannot have sex, right? Now, what does that mean? It means, in addition, let's say this man is married to this woman. Now, if this man, now there's another couple here. There's another man and there's another woman here. Man, and woman, right? They are married to each other, right? These two are married to each other. These two are married to each other. These two can have sex, it's fine, it's halal. These two can have sex, it's fine, it's halal. If this man has sex with this woman, that is not allowed, that is haram. That's known as adultery. Right? That means a married man is having sex with a married woman. Or if this woman has sex with that married man on the other side, that is haram again, because a married woman is having sex with a married man. And why that is a problem? Because then it causes problems in society, it causes problems in the relationship. But in addition to that, let us say here, there's a whole lot of young boys and girls who are not married. A lot of young boys and young girls who are not married in society, right? There are millions who are not married. So if a married man now has sex with an unmarried girl, that is also not allowed. That's known as zina, fornication. If a married woman has sex with an unmarried man, that is also not allowed. That is zina. Why? They don't have a marriage license. These two don't have a marriage license. So it's very simple. The rule is very simple. Do you have a license to have sex with that person? If you don't have if this man does not have a license with this woman, then do not have sex with that woman. If this man does not have a license with that unmarried girl, do not have sex with her. If this woman does not have a license with that man, then don't have sex with that man. If this woman does not have license with this unmarried boys, don't have sex with them. They can be boys or they can be adults. These could be divorced people. They could be single or separated men, whoever it is. As long as you do not have the license, it means you do not have the permission. I'm not saying this. Please, I'm not saying this. This is in Surah Nur, chapter Nur of the Quran. Right? That means sex offenses should be punished. Chastity is a virtue. That means it is something good for man and woman. Why? It is not only something that you are restraining yourself, but it is also got to do with upholding the values of society. In the same way, the man cannot go to a prostitute and say, I'm going to pay money to have sex with her. You are not married to that prostitute. Similarly, a woman cannot say, okay, I'm going to become a prostitute and I'm going to get as many men as I want to. That woman is not married to any of these men. Right? We are not looking at the deeper reasons why people do this. I'm not here to judge anybody. If anybody has made errors, Allah is a Ghafurur Rahim. Allah forgives everybody, right? But we need to just ensure, I'm just stating what is being said here. We all make mistakes. Everybody makes mistakes. But I'm establishing this for who? for the new generation, the Gen Z who is growing up. Why? Because they are being faced with challenges. What you see on social media, as me as an old man, what you're seeing on pornography is absolutely, from a medical point of view, there's a lot of lessons I can learn. But from other points of view, there's some things that are a lot of deviations, deviant behavior. That is very shocking. And if our Gen Z do not know the difference between what is right, what is allowed, and what is not allowed, then they're going to be very, very confused. There's a lot of deviant behavior that is not allowed, right? And we need to establish the rule and the line to say this is allowed and that is not allowed. We need to establish the difference between right and wrong, right? Let's continue. So chastity is a virtue for men and women, whether joined in marriage or single or widowed. The punishment for offenses in such matters should be public. And I've seen, well, it's very, very traumatic to witness this. I've seen some videos on YouTube, I think in some countries, whether it's in Saudi Arabia or in Malaysia, Indonesia, somewhere where they do this punishment in public, and it is, for me, just to watch that is very, very difficult, right? And that is why it is a controlling factor, right? But let's continue with that. I'm not here to judge anybody. No less grave is the launching of false charges. This is even more serious. If you launch a false charges, say, Kotti Tomat, you're talking a lie upon someone, Kotti Tomat, a lie, a false charge, or rumors, falsehood against a person with a fair reputation of woman, or the spreading of such slanders, or the facile belief to them, evil is ever spreading its net. You are then part of the evil person. You are then evil. If you are part of the slanderer, you are evil. If you are part of spreading rumors, you are evil. If you have made slandering someone, making wrong rumors about someone, you are part of that evil in spreading its net. Good men and women should ever be on their guard, always be careful, and pray for God's grace and mercy. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guide us towards all those actions and deeds that are righteous and acceptable and pleasing to Him, and should forgive us our shortcomings. So please join me in the next episode. We're going to start with this amazing, wonderful, amazing chapter known as Surah Nur, the Surah of Light. Stay well, look after yourself. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen.